See, at least one person can. Good evening, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to this special edition, 1 hour edition of Valentine Conversations with myself, Chris Edwards, and my husband, Ronald Clay. So we've got a very special guest tonight, or I should say guests. I've got the Mazelins, or as they're known on YouTube, Maz Gang. So let me see if they're in here. I bring them right in. Wrong one. Meet. Hope everyone's enjoying. This should be a really interesting conversation. So let's give a little backstory. The Mazelins are LGBTQ plus advocates, plus they are digital content creators. And you know, I have to say this, when I reached out to them a couple of weeks ago, I've been kind of going back and forth and trying to figure out scheduling. But I really sat down over the last week or so and kind of binged their YouTube channel. So it'll be interesting to talk to them and have a conversation, one-on-one conversation with them in person. Well, you know, on Instagram. So let's see. Let me invite them in again. Instagram's been acting up a little bit lately, but hopefully tonight we shouldn't have any problems. All right. What's everyone up to tonight besides joining us live here? Oh, they're unable to join. So, Alec, if you're able, send a request to me and I'll let you in. Sometimes Instagram, oh, there we go. Perfect. Let's see. Just do it the first time.
There we go.
Hello.
Hey.
We're good. How are you?
Doing? We are well. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're so honored that you guys even reached out to us.
Oh, well, listen, now, it is my honor to actually have you guys on. I have to say, you know, we've been kind of going back, like I just mentioned, for a while to try to get you on. And I know you guys have busy schedules. Brian, I know you're a flight attendant, so you're always on the go. So this was, you know, this for me was a special get. And I just want to let you guys know that I really appreciate you guys taking, you know, Valentine's night to be able to do this with me.
Now, press pause. I just want to let y'all know, y'all have been on my TV for the past few days because he has literally been binging all of your videos on YouTube.
Guilty as charged, guilty as charged. So in all fairness, typically what I do when I have guests on, I do a deep dive on my guests and kind of do a little research to get to know them a little bit more. But I will say I binged a lot
And
of
we
stuff,
made it
even
easy
up till
for you
today.
guys because a lot of videos are there. So
Listen, I think I went back as far as when you guys, well, I watched the engagement, so even a little bit before that, so before the engagement, all the way up until the post you did on Sunday. So I've seen it pretty much all. You know, I tend to stay up a little bit later, so like when I'm working late at night, I have you guys on and I'm listening to it. You know, it's bingeable, half an hour show here and there, you know. But thank you again for joining us tonight. And, you know, what I'd like for you guys to do is to introduce yourselves to the people, let them know a little bit about yourselves, your story, okay. And then we'll just kind of dive in.
No? Okay, well, I'm Alex. I am one half of Meetthemazelins. I'm originally from Jamaica, so if people are hearing a little bit of an accent, yeah, then that's where it's from. Yeah, so introduce yourself and then we'll go into the story.
Okay. My name is Brian. I am American, but my dad is Jamaican. Yeah.
So, you know, for people that don't follow your journey on YouTube and here on Instagram, give us a brief story of how you guys met and how this whole scenario came to be.
He's so tired of me telling my angle of the story, but I think my side is very accurate and is more interesting. But we are a pandemic love story. We could have been before, but I originally sent Brian a DM in 2019, and he double tapped the comment, and that was it, no response. And then a whole year later, when he had a whole lot of time during the pandemic, he reached out. And since the first day we started talking, it has been this way ever since. So several hours every single day. We did distance for
2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years, pretty much 2 years, because I would have come here to the US through the K1 visa process. So that took us 17 months. Should have been 7, but took us 17. So it has been quite the journey to reach where it is that we are here today.
That's awesome. And I think the reason why I'm so drawn to you guys in particular is the fact that your story is a little bit similar to ours. We met through Instagram in 2000. So technically it was 2019 when we actually interacted really, but it was 2018 when he followed me, and that's kind of how it got started. But it was a quick romance. Literally, I DM'd him one evening just to say, because I heard him singing on Instagram, and I was just reaching out to say, hey, look, I love what you're doing, keep doing it. And I didn't expect him to respond, and that was it. We've been together ever since. We met in, like I said, 2019 in January, and we got married the following year, a year and a week and a half after we met. Yeah. So tell everyone a little bit about the whole process of doing the K1 visa and coming over, and even before that, just like the back and forth, because even though we were going through a pandemic, I know that Brian was coming down a lot, and then you were coming up as well.
Yeah, being that I'm a flight attendant, obviously, we were out of work the entire pandemic. So from March up until the following January, I didn't work at all. But my company allowed me to keep my benefits, so I was able to travel practically for free whenever I wanted to. So I didn't have work. So I went to Jamaica at every chance I could. So
on average, he was coming. So just to give you a little timeline, we started talking in July. 2 weeks in, he was like, I should come and visit you. And I was like, oh, okay.
And he ignored me.
You just kept putting it off, because I feel like some of us grow so used to somebody giving their all the first couple of days and then getting wishy-washy like a couple of weeks into it. So I was just like, I'm not going to hold my breath. Our borders in Jamaica were closed at the time anyway, due to the pandemic. Our borders opened maybe after the first week in August. I took 2 weeks off of work, and then he decided to try and come down. The first week, COVID test was the incorrect COVID test, so he had to cancel his plans to come, and then 5 days passed, and he finally got the clearance to come to Jamaica. And we spent like 7, 8 days together.
It was the first time was 5.
5 days. Okay, the first time was 5 days. And after the first time, he literally came to Jamaica every single month, once a month. By Christmas, we were engaged. And then we filed in January of 2021. And
we're still going through that process. It's a very long process, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we finished the K1 phase of it, which the K1 visa is just for an immigrant to enter the US to be able to get married. So I came up in May of last year. So it took about 17 months for us to get through to that stage. And we're now doing the adjustment of status part. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I mean, I know plenty of people that have gone through that process, who come up on work visas. I told you I was born in Jamaica myself. I was born on the other side of the island, over in Kingston. My whole family's from there, but I grew up in the States. So I know what it is to go through the process. I've had other family members go through it as well. And I know that can be difficult and it's stressful. And like I said, I've watched your progress in going through it. And I think it's really important what you guys are actually doing in documenting everything and showing people not just the process of immigration, but just your love story. So I want to kind of start from the beginning a little bit, because like you guys, my story is kind of similar as far as like not really being out there and having people, letting people in and telling them my story. Talk a little bit about the process of letting your families know and letting your friends know.
Wow. Well, so the way I did it, I don't come from a family where we sit down and have like family discussions about what happens in your life. You just go with the flow, and when you find out, you find out. So I posted our engagement photo on my story, and I put, the caption was, if you didn't know, now you do. And that's how my family found out about this. Found out about me, period. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny how on social media, like
How
you find you're more brave on social media sometimes than you are even in person. Yeah, so that's really how his started. For me, when we got engaged in December, because he came and spent Christmas with my family. So I mean, I feel like my family already knew what was up. But my sister had commented on some matching armbands that we had, and she said, "Oh, bro, love." And I was like, for the first time in my life, I was just like, I felt offended, that somebody was just putting it down to bro love, like it couldn't be more. Because at that point, he meant so much to me that I was like, no, I need to now come forward and be very clear about my intentions with him. Because he had the courage to step out and tell his circle about me, so I should be able to do the same thing. So between January and February of the following year, I decided, okay, I'm going to drive down to Montego Bay, which is like 3.5 hours from where I was staying in Kingston, and I'm going to tell my mother in person. I told my sister through message like the week before, and drove down there, told her, and it was just like, oh, okay, we're just waiting for you to tell us.
Yeah, listen, I find that a lot of people have similar stories where, family members, they know, but they're really just waiting on you to let them in. And I like to say, I don't like to say coming out the closet. I like to say letting people in, because you know who you are. We all have our stories of, being ashamed, when we're younger, especially being from a Caribbean family, and I saw, you talk about this, but the shame of, especially when you have family gatherings, people talking about like gay people and the bashing and this and that. And, here's the thing, I'm not angry with my family when I was younger, because you know what you know, that's how they grew up, that's what they knew. And when you know better, you do better. I will say for me, letting people in was a positive experience. Letting my mother know, letting my family know, and everyone has like completely embraced Ronald. We've been married. We just celebrated 3 years like 2 weeks ago, and we've been together 4 years. And it's nothing but love. My parents treat him like the son, like another son, basically. So everyone's story is important. And that's why I really am just like really drawn to you guys. The bravery that it takes to do this so publicly, so honestly, and so openly. And it's not always, as they would say, a bed of roses. You have your ups and your downs and your struggles. We've talked about that. For those that haven't had a chance to go to your YouTube page and experience all the trials and tribulations, kind of talk about some of the things, the I don't say negatives, but like the downsides of having to go through this process publicly.
Well, for me, I guess, I'm sorry. For me, it would be my family finding out via social media and having the conversation about it without me and with everybody else. And then once they got to meet Alec, it was very much, it was kind of a standoffish vibe. So that was the downside, because I feel like I have a cousin who watches my YouTube who probably shares a lot of the information that my family didn't know. So they have the opportunity to come to their own interpretation of what it is that I say without having the conversation with me. So I think it probably built a bigger wedge than
In some regard,
than bringing us together.
Okay.
Oh,
How did you navigate that though?
I still haven't. We still haven't talked about it.
Oh,
We got married and none of my family was there. So I don't.
Well, his mom was
Well, my
there.
mom was there. My mom and my son was there, and I had family from my dad's side. Um, but I grew up with my mom's side of my family, and none of them were there. So we still haven't talked about it. Like we still haven't talked about us getting married, about the engagement, about the pictures, nothing. So those are still uncharted territories as of right now.
well, let me ask you this, and if I'm getting too personal, just let me know. But how does that make you feel? And then, do you want to reconcile with them? Do you want to have a conversation with them about it?
Yeah, I think I need to have the conversation about it. Because I'm very much growing up, I've been hurt by a lot of the things that you see or hear from family growing up. Like sometimes family can be your first bully, and there's a lot that they didn't understand that they did. So it's not fair for me to hold it against them, and they don't even know that they hurt me. So it's something that I do need to
Right.
talk to them about. But I'm also very much let me protect my peace and just not say anything and like pretend like it didn't even happen, because I don't want to put myself out there, put my feelings on the line, and then it's not even received the way that I would have wanted it to be received. Nothing comes from it. Then I'm emotional, I'm crying, and I'm bothered, and nothing changes. So that's a fear of mine, but I have to get out of that.
Listen, I can totally relate. I was 43 when I told my mom. Yeah, we've been together. I remember. So, technically, I would classify myself as a bisexual man because I dated women predominantly all my life, and
I turned him out.
yeah, as he likes to say. But I knew from when I was young that, as we all say, I felt different. I didn't feel like everybody else. I didn't have words to put to it when I was younger. Not until I went to college and I actually took a class on human sexuality and the different types of sexuality that there is in the world, did I really fully understand, okay, this is who I am. And I'm so glad I took that class because it was educational to me. And instead of me learning it from on the streets and not really understanding completely. But, when we met, I'll never forget it. And I tell the story all the time. The night that we just talked to each other through Instagram DM, I said to myself, I said, God, whatever this is, just allow me to be open to it, because there was something about the conversation that we were having, which was totally platonic. There was nothing really about it. And I said, I don't know what this is. Like, this just feels funny, but it feels really just natural. I felt like I knew him my entire life from a few hours of talking with him on, and we weren't even like talking. We were just like texting back and forth. And I remember like at one point, it was probably about 4 hours into the conversation. I said, does this feel weird to you? And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, I've never actually like had a conversation in someone's DM like this. And then, the question of course comes up, what are you? And, we both like, well, we don't really like labels, but I'm this, I'm that. And at that moment, I realized like, oh my God, I literally knew that I was in love with that man that very night.
Mind you, that was like the blip of the conversation. Then it just kept going.
Yeah, we got on, we were talking from like around 8 or 9 o'clock until about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock that morning, the following morning. And we just never stopped talking. I said, hey, I'm going to give you my number. I asked you for his, and I said, I'm going to call you in the morning. And he didn't believe me.
He actually called.
I remember I did not sleep that night. He was on my mind the whole time. And I got up and I called him, and he was shocked. And we've never stopped talking ever since.
That was also the deciding factor for me. That was the game changer, because we started talking late in the night. We were up until almost sunrise in Jamaica, and I had work that day, so I got like maybe an hour of sleep. And when I got to work, he got up like after 3 hours just to call me, just to check in. And I was just like, damn, well, I was expecting maybe a message sometime later in the day, but he got up and was like, I'm tired, so I know you are hella tired right now. And just from the beginning, like, it just felt like it was that equal exchange of energy. And that was something that felt so new to me.
Yeah, like even when we, like when my family and friends meet him, everyone has the same reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's just like, oh, it just feels like he's been here. And like even like when we met, like you know how when you're getting to know somebody new and all that stuff, you get butterflies and all that stuff. I never felt that with him, only because it never felt new. I felt like I always tell people we sank into each other really quickly. Like I tell people, like we settled. Settle is for lack of a better word, but it felt like an old comfy couch.
Yeah, or
like,
love. Yeah,
from the jump.
it's true. It's true. I mean, we met online on the 19th, and February 2nd, we met up in Philadelphia. Because
We met before then. We met that. I think it was like the 30th.
30th.
Yeah.
So I was living in New York. He was living here in Delaware, and we decided we were just going to meet up. And we met, and we had our first date in person in Philly. And like Philadelphia holds a special place. You know, I used to live in Philly, but that's where we met. We have our hotel that we consider our own now. But it was literally like from the first time I met him in person, there was never any nerves. There was never any sense of, oh, is this going to work? I knew it was going to work from the moment we first talked, you know. And it's kind of crazy. There is someone out there for everyone, and when you meet your person, you know.
Yeah, because I'm sure to all our friends we seem crazy with how fast things progress.
Yeah.
Listen, when you know, time means nothing. You know, it could be 5 months, it could be a year. So here's the thing: like we weren't even really we were engaged for all of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I would come down every month from New York, and we would Thursday nights to Monday morning, because I would leave straight from here and go straight to work. And I remember we were just sitting on the edge of the bed, getting ready to go somewhere, probably like out to breakfast or something one morning. And I said, you know what? We should just get married. And he was like, oh, okay. And literally, I went home back to New York, came back the following week, got our marriage license, and we were just planning to get married right there and then, but we had to wait a week. So I came back the following week and we got married just as a piece. Thank God we did, because literally we got married January 31st, 2020. Lockdown March 20th.
Yeah, March 3rd.
Yeah. So, you know, listen, that tested a relationship really quickly. And to be honest, it did nothing. All it did was just reassure the commitment that we made to each other and how we felt about each other. Like, I always tell people the pandemic was the best thing that happened to us. Like, it was the best thing. You know, luckily I had a few pieces of clothes here.
When I tell you, he had a sweatsuit, okay? Every day I saw this man in this sweatsuit. It had the initial CEV on it. It was an old photography company that he used to have. I got tired of this sweatsuit. I want to burn it. He still wears it every now and then. I wear it every now and then. But it's funny because I'm known as I tend to dress a lot. And whenever we would go out, I'm like just fully dressed. You know, blazer, sometimes a suit and a hat and everything. And he used to complain, like, can you just, like, do you just dress normally just to go out? I'm like, well, you know, we're going out. I'm going to dress up. So now when the pandemic hit, yeah, you got exactly what you want. You got some sweatsuit and some socks, and the same ones every day. But I want to get back to you guys. Now, Brian, you have a child. Talk about, you know, how that came about, and then how you guys now have melded your family together. And Alec, talk about the experience of being a dad. Yeah, instantaneous dad at that.
One drunken night. Yeah, I mean that's how that came about. But he lives with me full time, but his mother is very much in the picture. We kind of all co-parent together. He is probably our biggest supporter. BJ is pro his two dads. Like, it's crazy to see nowadays what kids find okay and what they like compared to when I was growing up. Kids would like, the gay was like bad, you know what I mean? Like, you would get picked on for being associated with gay in any capacity. But these kids nowadays, it's a different breed, because they all know that he has two dads. They all support us. They all want to watch our YouTube, which I don't think they should. but they are very supportive. Him and his friends are extremely supportive. So that was 100% a blessing.
Awesome.
I just want to interject. I think media probably plays a lot into the acceptance of it all too, especially when we were growing up. To see gay on TV, we were always just like the flamboyant, funny friend.
Yeah.
Where now it's more so normalized to see an actual same-sex family on TV, and then just on social media. Period. Like I work at a high school, and just to see I would say it's bravery of these kids just truly being themselves. But it's as much as we've been set back over the past 6-7 years, there's also been a lot of progression for people to be free to be who they are. And it's great to hear that your son and his friends are accepting and supportive of you guys. It's inspiring.
And I think that experience for me underscores the importance of us sharing. I think, when it is that people think about sharing your love on a public platform, it's for the attention, but to me, for us, our driving force was the fact that so many people were inspired by our story before we switched over to YouTube. And we kind of got that bug of, we want to be able to represent the community that we're coming from. We feel as though our story was something that you don't see often in media. And mind you, it might just be YouTube, but it's a place to start,
It's a platform. And you know what? I have to say this. I was so encouraged when I saw your story. So I believe how I found you guys was through Black Gay Weddings. I know you guys have been featured in that, and also you've been featured. You're actually in the inaugural issue of the magazine, and I'll get to that. But it's so important for representation to be seen. One of the things that we talked about when we first got together was like, because I was on social media doing a lot of stuff, and this is what I do for a living now. We talk about, we want to keep something for ourselves. We don't publicly put ourselves out there. We occasionally would have done stuff in the beginning, like I post him, I do all his photography work, that type of stuff. But
Chris Paul, this is a lot for us, like to be on together and actually speaking together. Especially coming from the world that I come from. I know we're backtracking a little bit, but me growing up in church and being active in church and everybody knowing me as Minister Clay or whatever, like it took a lot for me to kind of step back and fully come into all of who I am. And when it came to him, like I refused to hide him. I refused to hide any part. Even though my family knew and my closest friends knew, there was still a part of me that was still shy away from sharing who I was with. Now, like even today, our Valentine's posts. In the past, that would have never been me, but because it's him, it's like, like y'all want to get all of this, and either deal with it or don't. And if you don't, that's fine too. You just don't need to hold a space in my life. So to get back to where you guys were to like share your story, it's just. I love seeing couples, especially Black gay couples, because especially in media or social media, you don't see, and nothing wrong with interracial relationships whatsoever, but it's something about Black love, and it's something about Black gay love, and to show people that it can be done.
Yeah, and we're not the stereotype, because a lot of times people look at gay people as, oh, well, this is what they're into. And no, we want to have loving families. We want to, there's nothing wrong with having like a quote unquote traditional family model where, you're just loving, you interact, you do all the same things, you want to be seen like everyone else. So that's why, like, I've completely and thoroughly loved watching your experience. And I look forward to, you guys posting every Sunday to see what you guys are up to. Maybe this might end up on the show on Sunday. But yeah, I think it's really, really important. What you guys are doing is beyond important. It's necessary. And, hopefully we'll see even more people like yourself and like us doing this, because it really is important to see people having a loving healthy relationship.
Normal
relationship. Yeah. So let me just take a pause real quick. So thank you to everyone that has been watching and commenting. If you could please, if you have a comment or if you have a question for the Mazelins, please leave it in the comments section. There's a little question mark at the bottom. Leave it there so that we know that you have a question or a comment, and we'll try to read it out. It's kind of hard with everyone in the room just scrolling up to try to get to those questions. Where do you guys see this going for you? You know, you're documenting your life in a way. Are you going to continue to do this? You know, when are you going to keep doing it? Basically, well, that's what I'm asking.
I mean, so we've been sharing on YouTube now for almost a year and a half, and via Instagram maybe for 2 years. So it basically has been there pretty much from the start of our relationship. We've talked about, does this have an end date? And at some point, I do believe that we intend to stop with YouTube. We don't know when yet, but we have had to remind ourselves of the reason we started. And as long as we still get enjoyment from it, then we will continue to share. Yeah. So we don't have a specific date. We don't have an exclusive to give you guys, but
that's fair. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So there was a question. Someone asked if you guys looking to expand your family, is surrogacy an option?
Okay, well, so both of us, we have given like age markers to make this decision. So right now, considering the fact that we are still very much going through this process of immigration, we need some time to just have that stability of it just being the two of us and BJ. But I'm what, 31 now? Mm-hmm. If it reaches 35 and we haven't made any solid plans of children, then I think that chapter would be closed.
Dude, let me tell you something. Don't put time limits on it. You're young. So there's an age gap between us. I'll be 48 this year. And how old are you, son?
I will be 37 this year.
Yeah. So there's a huge age gap. So, and you know, we've had the conversation if we're going to have kids or not. We've kind of gone back and forth. I think at this point now we're kind of at a point where we're like, we enjoy our lives like this. We're able to kind of pick up and go and do things and just enjoy each other's company.
When we first got together, his thing was being the quote unquote older dad or old dad. And I don't think age, especially because he's a young 47. I don't think age really played a factor into it so much anymore, but I think when COVID hit and that year and some change got taken away from us, I'm like, you know what, I still want to be able to enjoy us and not really rush into anything. And the longer that it went on, I was kind of like, do we really need kids? I mean, the thought is really nice because I love kids. I love little kids. And I feel like we would be great parents. However, I do also enjoy taking a nap. So,
yes, he does enjoy taking naps. So, that's his favorite pastime, by the way.
With that being said, I'm like, do I really want to interrupt that? And like knowing that and knowing myself, I think it would be selfish to bring a child into the situation when I'm not fully. I know I'm not fully.
And I get that 100% because I mean, backtracking a little bit, you had asked about my experience coming into basically a ready-made family. I had always grown up wanting a child and wanting a boy specifically. And I got that being in the situation because BJ is 12. So when I came around, he was like 10 going on to 11. Some days I'd be like, yeah, I'm doing it. And I'm like proud of myself. And then I'd have one day where I'm just like, damn, school is going to be ending in 30 minutes. My peace is going to be disrupted. And you realize that parenting is a full-time 24/7 job. And at any point when you drop the ball, you don't know how greatly that can affect the life that you're also influencing. And that is a really heavy responsibility that I take very seriously because he is very much my child. But even for us thinking about possibly taking care of another life, starting from the beginning, I think we would be some like great ass dads too. But would we have the energy to be able to put that out? And I mean, even for Brian, like if we do it in another 6 years, he literally would have just been pushing one out the house to then start from the beginning. So yeah, so that is also a factor.
All right, so hold on, we got a couple questions here. Let me just get to those. Someone says, who is this? Trav Wayne, for each couple, please provide us single people in the community with any advice, encouragement.
Enjoy being single. As much as I love my husband, there are times where, you know, everybody needs to take care of self.
Yeah.
So in this time and being single, take care of yourself and make sure when you do find that person, make sure you enjoy them being in your space.
Yeah.
There's never a moment where I look at Kristen like, why are you here? I love him being here, but I also love it sometimes when he goes away. So
you need that separate time away from each other. I remember like the first time after during COVID where I was able to travel a little bit. It's nice to be able to have that space because it draws you back to each other, you know. Yeah, he loves it when I go away. Any advice from you guys?
Me, I would say before you get into a relationship, know who you are. Know who you are. Know what your strengths, your weaknesses, things that you have to work on. And coming into a relationship, don't be afraid to be open and honest about those things from the jump. When I met Brian, I was a work in progress, and I let him know days into it, hey, I'm not perfect. These are the things that I'm currently trying to work on. And if you're okay with that, then I'm okay moving forward too. So,
yeah, I think that's an important thing to talk about in the beginning of a relationship.
I would just say to love yourself, because you can't love anybody else if you don't love yourself. So make sure that you take the time to learn everything that you can about you and learn your faults as well, because nobody's perfect, and be honest about them.
Yeah. All right. Someone had made a comment off of that. They appreciate the fact that we're actually doing this and having this conversation for the community, because you don't see this very often. You know, I do this on a regular basis where I'm interviewing different people. I have a very diverse group of people, and I really focus on Black and brown people because it's an underserved community on here. But this is now like a subcategory, and you don't really see a lot of this. You know, thank God there are spaces like Black Gay Weddings, Native Son, where people have resources that they can go to. But we need more conversations like this. Let's see what else we got. Do you guys do double dates?
We do. We've done double dates with Sean and Shai, Carrie and Pierre.
We do it with straight couples too.
Yeah. We double date a lot.
Yeah, for us it's a normal thing, and I think in the beginning when we started doing this, we really set out to connect with a lot of couples as well, because we wanted, if there wasn't already a community, we wanted to foster that sense of community, at least with us. So we have reached out to so many people through social media, whether in the YouTube space or the Instagram space, and we've traveled to go to their birthday parties. We've celebrated milestones with some of these people that we've connected with through social media. So we double date a lot.
I'm glad you used the word community. That's something that we've been talking about a lot lately, as far as us being able to reach out to different people. It's hard here in Delaware. There's not much of a community here. There's really no community at all. We have one other married couple who live in DC, so we travel to them or they'll come up to us. We have a friend in New York that, you know, Chris talks to all the time. But as far as like, I would love to build more of a community for the two of us. Yeah, I have my family here, and my family loves him. They probably like him more than they like me sometimes. But I would still love to have like friends who have a shared experience. Yeah. Like you guys have a shared experience. Some people we can like bounce ideas off of. So I love that you guys have built that community for yourselves. I think that's something that we need to work on.
This is the
as far as expanding
because
our community.
As I said, a huge thing for us is we will come and travel. We'll be like, we're coming to Delaware for the weekend. You guys are gonna.
Oh, so listen, I was going to put that out there because here's the thing. I know you guys have your map of all the places you're trying to go. If you come here, you fly into Philadelphia, do Delaware, and we can do things in Jersey. So you're going to get 3 states for one trip. So we're putting it out there. You're more than welcome. We've got extra room here. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We'll pick you up.
No,
you're good. You're good.
Music tour is.
So let's see. And listen, I believe Spirit flies from Philadelphia, so there you go. So there's a question for the host. Where can we follow you and your platform? So, all right, yeah, I'll definitely make sure that I give you all that. So you can follow me here on constantly_changing the number for me. I have a couple different shows that I do throughout the week. I do 2 shows on Thursday and Friday with another photographer friend of mine, Mr. Ron Lewis. We do Thankful Thursdays and we do Focus Fridays. Those are both at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday nights, I have a show with 2 other friends called The Conference Call. Of course. So we do that every Thursday night, and it's a really lively conversation. And if you did not see last week's episode, definitely go and check it out. It was our Valentine's special. We showed up. It's normally a half an hour. We did it for an hour, and we were all in nightwear, and it was love, sex, and relationships episode. So that was really fun. And then on Friday, basically what this show is called Friday Conversations with Chris Edwards. That's me, the host. And really what I'm doing is highlighting Black and brown people on social media who are using their platform to for personal growth, for their businesses, just to let people know that, hey, we're out here. One of the things that I found doing this over the last several years is that, our white counterparts, they don't have to work as hard to gain followers, to gain recognition, and then to get the brand partnerships and deals. We have to work 10 times as hard, and still they want to pay us less for doing promotions and stuff. So my goal is to promote Black and brown people, and especially if I can get people that are in the LGBTQ plus community to come on and to share awareness or whatever, I'm going to definitely do that.
All right, so wait, if you didn't catch it, oh, sorry. What is your Instagram and stuff?
Who?
Yours. They asked where can they follow you. They can follow him at constantly_changing for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching this now, just click follow. You can follow from there.
This is how you can tell if he's 40 because once he started calling. But for me, my Instagram is _RonaldThomas_. So it's _RonaldThomas_. I don't really post too much content because I don't really like to post unless I have something to say. But I do follow back. I do interact with people. And I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
So let's see. Let me see if there's any other questions before we move on. I think we answered all of them. Well, let me ask you this. I'll throw it out there. Do you guys have any questions for us?
That's a good one.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. My cousin posted my handle in the comments.
Thank you, Amber.
His too. Let's see. What has been the biggest challenge for you guys thus far? Being that you are a married couple now, advising a newly married couple.
I would say, honestly, I think you kind of even touched on it a little bit, communication. And, you know your partner, you know when things are off. And if you have a sense of something, you just speak up on it right then and don't let things linger. I will say the one thing about us is that we don't really argue. And maybe I can count on our hands how many times we maybe had big disagreements. For the most part, we communicate really well and we know each other. It's actually kind of scary how well we are in sync. We literally say the same things at the same time with the same inflection all the time. Oh, wait, I know what I had to, I know I had something. So you guys do something that we actually do. And it was kind of eerie because I remember we were sitting down watching an episode and I said, babe, come here, look at this. And he said, hey, that's what we do. So you have to do the 3 kiss. The 3 kiss. We do, literally, that's something we've been doing from the very beginning. And then especially at nighttime before we go to bed, that is something I give him 3 kisses before I go to bed every night. And that's how we end our nights. And he typically gets up before me because he works outside the house. I work from home. You know, and I'm usually in bed by the time he leaves. He always gives me a kiss, goodbye. I always say, I love you, be careful, and have a good day. You know, those things are important. There's never been a time where he leaves his house and we don't have that exchange. And there's never been a time where we go to bed and we don't have that exchange. You know, that's something that's important. You know, we could die when we go to bed. At least that person knows that they were loved. You know, he could walk out the door and something can happen to him, or I could drop dead when he walks out. But at least we know that we said everything that we need to say to each other. I think that's important.
Just to go back to answer your question too, to kind of piggyback off of what he said as far as the communication, the only thing that like we kind of had to work on and really had to have a conversation about was when we are mad at each other, when we have been mad at each other, we'll stop talking. So it's like we'll be in the house and nobody is saying anything to the other for a little bit. So I think that's something we haven't done that in a while.
We haven't done it in a long time.
But just make sure I feel like you guys are just like us. You sank into each other fast. You seem very, very comfortable and communicative, but like just keep the communication open. Even when you are upset, even if you just say, hey, babe, I don't feel like talking about it right now, but we do need to talk.
Yeah.
Say that and walk away or whatever it is you need to do. But I think that's the foundation for any relationship, whether it be intimacy or like friendships, even family, like just communicate. Don't go days without talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's very good advice.
Yeah.
Because
I would agree with that.
We've even realized that because we initially started distance, so communication was extremely important. So when we started living together, I feel like sometimes we thought, okay, well, you should know or you can tell, but we've come to realize it still is very important for the other person to vocalize their feelings regardless. Even if it is that I can tell, I still want to hear what it is that you're thinking. You know, I don't want to assume, and the same vice versa, that I also need to make sure that I do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched the episode today. This was back in 2021, I think, for Christmas. Brian gave Alec a stand mixer. Can I tell you, I gave him a stand mixer.
Really?
2021 for Christmas. No, it was 2021.
Was it 21?
Yes, we're in 2023.
You sure?
Yeah. It was.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like there's the similarities coming. I'm sitting here watching. I'm sitting here with a smile, like, oh my gosh, these guys are exactly like us. So we have, you know, we both cook, same way you guys cook, but he is like, hands down, he's the master chef in this house, and he's and he loves to bake.
First of all, we saw y'all's Christmas. I don't know, was it this past Christmas or the Christmas before? You had your friends over, you did a game night. So if y'all do come up here, I'm gonna need the chicken that you made, the cheesecake that you made. I'm gonna need, you know, because I like to eat. So we can work on something together.
Oh, listen, there's tons of room here to sit here, to bake and to cook. We got a pretty big kitchen. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be some serious throwdown going on here.
If it's one thing that we need, like we're looking forward to into moving into a new place, is a big kitchen.
Listen, so we had a plan after we got married, before we knew the pandemic was going to hit us. We were looking to move. His lease was up because I relocated from New York to Delaware. And, you know, the plan was once his lease was up, we were going to move into a bigger place. But we got stuck. We ended up having to take another year in his 1-bedroom apartment. And we made it work. We made it work. One of the things we knew, and I don't know if you have this, but if you do not have 2 bathrooms, that is a necessity. Like for us, if it didn't have 2 bathrooms, we didn't want it. We weren't even looking at it. 2 bathrooms and a big kitchen, because the last apartment was like more like a galley style kitchen. You can't have 2 people in. Now, you know, you can have a whole family just sit around the island, and
it ain't that big, but
it's big enough.
The fact that you said Ireland, you're better off than we
Yeah,
are. So
Yeah.
that still goes. That still goes.
Yeah. So do you guys see yourself staying in Florida, or do you have plans to relocate anywhere? Because I know you guys, you've been to a lot of states, and I know you're trying to get to all 50.
Yes.
Do you see yourselves moving anywhere else?
I've been in Florida. Yeah, I've been in Florida my
Another
entire life,
state?
and I'm ready for change.
Okay.
Especially with the political climate of Florida, with the don't say gay, and then like
Yeah.
it's just too much. We're not welcome here, and I know that now. So I'm ready to move. I don't know if I want to do it before BJ graduates school, or I don't know when I want to do it. But I think California is on our radar. Yeah, it's a little expensive, though,
Okay.
so we have to.
A lot
Yeah, it's really
expensive.
expensive. So we have to make some adjustments. But I think California is where I see us in the future. What about you?
Okay. All right. I know we're getting a little close on time. So there's one other question I want to talk about, like finances and stuff. And I know that, especially Alec, I know it's been hard on you personally because of the fact that you had your job in Jamaica, and we're all independent people, but now you're somewhat I don't want to say rely on Brian, but there's compromises that have to be made because of the situation with the K-1 visa and your status. How are you doing with that, and how are you guys managing?
I'm better now. So before we had even got through with the visa, because I had a visitor's visa before, but I only had a few months left on it. So after talking between ourselves, I actually decided to quit my job even before we got an approval. And that was so we could put more time into testing if this would work when we were actually in the same space. So I haven't been working officially now for like a year and a half. So you can imagine whatever savings I had went pretty quickly, especially after it is that we had the wedding. But mentally, it really took a toll on me. I would say even just a couple months ago, when it really did take a toll on me is when I actually came up on the K1 and I wouldn't have been able to travel back to Jamaica. So it was several factors, but that definitely was a huge one, where the fact that I wasn't able to provide the way that I'm used to, whether here or at home, it really had me questioning my self-worth, because it's funny how we connect our self-worth with what we're able to do and what we're able to provide, not necessarily for ourselves, but for other people as well. So that was really difficult on me. And especially sharing our journey, it made it that much more difficult, because at certain points, like, everybody knows me to be the one that's smiling and happy. But when you have those downtimes, you're like, do I really share this? And I really just had to protect my own peace and take the time to sort through whatever it is that I needed to mentally and emotionally. And I know it was rough on him too, because it's hard for a partner to sit down there and, witness that, especially because part of him felt like he's the cause. That if I didn't come up here for him, then that wouldn't happen. But, for me, it's later will be greater. And at the end of the day, this love is something that I always wanted. I never imagined that I would be blessed enough to get. So no matter what the circumstances are, I would do it 10 times over.
Yeah. No, I love that you said that. And, you have a great partner. Both of you guys have a great partner in one another. And I love how you guys play off of one another, how you support one another. You show affection and love, and you're there for one another. When Brian was in the hospital, the fact that you were very fearful of driving, but that wasn't even a question for you. You just did what you had to do because, you were taking care of your man. You know what I mean? You guys support one another, and that's why I love you. And let me tell you something. The people have been just dropping comments and showing you guys so much love. I apologize for not being able to get to all the comments tonight. It's hard when you have like such a great conversation. You want to really be engaged and stay focused on that. But definitely leave comments on this video. Please go and follow the Mezelins on their page. Continue to support them on YouTube as well. And I wish you guys nothing but continued love and success. And this is our first conversation.
Sure,
This is not our last. Yeah. No, listen, you'll be here in Delaware before you know it. And we'll do this whole Philly, Delaware, Jersey thing.
Lord. there is nothing to do here.
Yeah, but no,
we'll figure it out.
There's Philadelphia.
And naturally, we're homebodies, so we love entertaining at home, or if we're just kicking back, couple of drinks, we don't need much more than that. We aren't hard people to please.
Listen, there's a not too far from here.
We walk to right next door. We don't have to cross the street or nothing. So we let the booze fly. We between the baking and the good cooking, we're good. So you guys have an open invitation to come anytime. But before we let you guys go, do you have any parting words for everyone out there that's watching?
So this was actually one of the comments that I saw streaming, and somebody was asking, like, what advice would you give for somebody who is struggling to accept themselves? And I mean,
great question.
In the spirit of us sharing and talking about visibility of our community, take it a step at a time. Don't look on anyone else's journey and compare yourself to that. Go at your pace. Next step, find people who love you for you. Because if it weren't for my community and my own small circle, I wouldn't be nearly as confident as I am today. Our chosen family, especially when it is that you're growing up as a gay kid, oftentimes is so much more important than any blood connection that you could have had. And when you find those genuine people, hold on to them with everything that you have. Pour into them the same way that they pour into you. And once you have that, then you're good. As you said, there should really be no coming out of the closet. It's letting people in. And that's definitely something that's going to stick with me forever, that you said.
Yeah. Listen, I think we should just end it there. Those were words of wisdom. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me tonight for this very special Valentine's episode. This really highlighted what real love looks like. It holds no borders. No country can separate you. This is really what it's about. And then for you guys to be able to just share your story on this platform on YouTube, you're doing really great work, and I appreciate this, what you guys do. And just keep those episodes coming because now I'm hooked. Tell people where they can find you on both platforms.
You can find us at Meetthemazelins. That's on YouTube, TikTok, and obviously on Instagram as well. So it's the same thing, at Meetthemazelins.
Awesome. Babe, give them yours again.
It's _ Ronald Thomas _ So that's also on everything. What is this? Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, I guess.
Okay. And of course, you can find me at constantly _ changing for me, the number 4 me, here on all my social medias. Gentlemen, thank you so much for this amazing sit down and talk. It's been such a great honor to have you guys on and just to share your story with this community. I look forward to speaking with you guys even further. So for those that normally follow me on Fridays, thank you so much for joining me tonight for this very special episode. I will see you Friday at 12:30, our regular scheduled time, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where our my guest will be Mr. Al Green, also known as Minister of Style, here on Instagram. Gentlemen, have a great night, everyone. I will see you all.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Bye.